It would help if I had the video on screen. Hello and welcome to the stream that nobody is waiting for, where I try and go through the book, the C++ Primer, 5th edition, and learn some C++. It's come to my attention that some people are finding these streams useful for learning C++, which I find scary because I'm learning C++, and you shouldn't be learning C++ from someone who's learning C++. These are mostly for entertainment value, and mostly to motivate me to actually get through the book. So, this week, as a special bonus, I will put some links in the VOD on YouTube to some people who do much, please, some people who do more tangible walkthroughs of computer sciences. It's a dog. It is not dog. It is a dog. Anyway, so I'll try and get some helpful links to some actual learning resources in this week's VOD on YouTube, as I said, so that anyone who is struggling with C++ that my videos are not helping, they can get the stuff that they need, rather than just watching these really weird videos by some random guy who doesn't really know what he's doing with C++. The traditional for statement. Wow, that is the only exercise for that entire section. So we will start. I want to give you an idea of how loud this dog is, right? There's at least 3 panes of glass between the microphone and the dog. The microphone is facing away from the dog, and the dog is in a separate plot of land. At least 20 meters. Anyway, big loud dog. Big loud dog, can you not? Was this a switch? Wait a second. What the hell? Oh, they're no, they're it was the It was iterables, right? Iteratables? I'm gonna have to scroll just back up to the top to find out what we're actually doing. Yeah. Iterative statements. Okay. So, as usual, we'll comment all out last week's code. We'll go over it. Phone? Phone, please. Phone. So, Adobe, I know you've got like the market cornered on PDF file readers, and a whole bunch of other useful PC tools, but 1, can you not? 2, I just want to read PDFs. I don't care about authoring PDFs. I don't care about writing on PDFs. I don't care about editing PDFs. I don't care about creating PDFs. I don't need to translate PDFs. I don't need to access data in PDFs. I do not need a searchable repository of all my PDFs. Stop asking me to log in to your weird services. Alright, just back the frick up. I guess we're still on iterative stuff. So here we go. The traditional for statement. In fact, actually, can you just open this up again? Yeah, we used the for loop here, in fact. Look at that. In fact, for loops are what we use. Cool. Excuse me. So a for loop has an initializing statement, has a parenthesis, and then it has an initializing statement, a condition, and an expression. So not in the C standard for loop that we use to iterate over a series of items, we have our iterator is initialized, set to 0 usually. Our condition states the escape value of our iterator. Usually, it's usually based on the size of an array, or if it equals a certain value in an array, or so. I have this Razor bungee and I love it. It's great, but the bottom is so sticky. It alarms only. I don't want to. Fuck off. My phone is going crazy here. Anyway, we have your break condition, your escape condition. So when your iterator is equal to that condition, it will stop, and then you have your expression, which is usually used to increment your iterator, to progress it through towards its conclusion of the condition. And then after the parentheses stuff, the setup stuff, you have your semicolon, your curly brackets. You have your curly brackets. I think they may actually be called braces, but we'll not get into that. Which has the code to execute each iteration. Yeah, real simple. And its execution flow in a traditional for loop. So this is for decal type s size index equals 0. So we're setting the variable, which is a decal type s dot size to 0. So it's the same type as s dot size, and we're setting it to 0. We're checking if it doesn't equal s dot size, which is a variable which is the size of a string, right? And exclamation mark is space brackets s square brackets index. So we're checking to see if index is the same size as the string, or if index is a space, so it will escape if we get to the end of the string, i.e. if it is a single word, or it's camel cased, or it's hyphenated, or whatever, or if we hit a space in the string, and then at the end it's plus plus index, so it will increment the index. I don't really get this, because in a for loop, I don't really see a difference between plus plus I and I plus plus. I know I plus plus does the thing and then increments the thing, and plus plus I increments the thing and then does the thing, but in a for loop, and we tested this a couple of weeks back. Will you fuck off changing the volume on this thing? We tested this a couple of weeks back. They operate in exactly the same way in a for loop. It's just that people in C++ seem to like doing the plus plus I, and people in C like to do the I plus plus. I don't know. It's weird. If someone comes along and wants to explain that to me, that'd be fantastic. But see if I can take a sip of this. See if it's not too hot. Welcome to the mouth noise stream, everyone. And while I'm here, kind of a bit of an edge case here, but 2 hours after yesterday's stream, we got a new follower, Tony Hips. I'll let you work that one out. Thank you for the follow. It is very much appreciated. And welcome to the channel. I hope you have fun. It's really weird to have people it's not weird to have someone be in a stream and then follow at the end of the stream after the stream's gone offline, but like when you go out to the shops and then you look down at your phone and it's like, oh, you got a new follower. I'm like, I haven't done anything. I've got to wonder, like, how did they find out about the channel? I've got to wonder, like, what were they doing that made them follow me? Because were they watching clips, or were they watching highlights? Were they watching a VOD? I don't think they were watching any VODs. I think any extra hits on the VODs. Can't see how many people are watching those. Well, I can't see who is watching them, so don't be afraid to just, you know. The overall order of evaluation is as follows. The initialize statement is executed once at the start of the loop. Cool. The next condition is evaluated if index is not equal to s size and the character s index is not white space. The for body is executed. Otherwise, the loop terminates. If the condition is false on the first iteration, then the for body is not executed at all. If the condition is true, the for body executes. In this case, the for body makes the character s uppercase. If the condition is true, the for body executes in this. Oh, I did that. Finally, expression is evaluated. This example, index is incremented by 1. Yeah. So the expression is always going to happen after the for loop. So it doesn't matter if it's I plus plus or plus plus I. That's only going to make a difference if you're writing a codey thing that uses the plus plus. I'm so confused. Like, it doesn't seem to make any difference. If you understand my, because it gets evaluated at the end of the for at the end of the code block. It doesn't get evaluated before the code block, so it doesn't have an order to it. If you understand my English, if you understand my brain. So like, there's nothing in the step, there's nothing in the procedure to the left or the right of the operation of incrementing I. Therefore, it's being incremented first or last in that operation is redundant, because in a for loop everything is evaluated in steps nicely and neatly. I'm guessing someone's going to jump in the chat here and tell me, no, you're wrong, actually you can use it like this, and I'll be like, ooh, this is a learning experience. Maybe not. These 4 steps represent the first iteration of the for loop. Step 1 is executed only once on entry to the loop. Step 2, 3, 4 repeated until the condition evaluates as false, and then we do the thing. The visibility of any object defined within the for header is limited to the body of the for loop. Yeah. That we covered that in scope like 18 chapters ago. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a long time ago though. Scope was like week 10? Week 10? Week 8? Way back when. So if you have something in a code block that's nested in another code block, anything that you initialize inside that code block is inaccessible to the higher level code block. No, it's the other way around. No, it's not the other way around. I'm correct. God damn it. This is why learning things just takes so long. It's easier to learn things when you have a brain. So any other declaration statement can define several objects. However, initialized statement must only be a single declaration statement. Therefore, all variables must have the same base type. Okay. But you can declare variables outside the loop if you need to use extra other variables inside the loop. So don't worry about that. Yeah. I'm sorry, these streams are going to be very visually boring. I was thinking about making like a program to overlay like a screensaver kind of thing. You know? To make this just like a little bit more visually interesting. But it's brain interesting maybe. And when I get something wrong, it's real brain interesting, because then we can why is that not minimized? We had all this. This was a nightmare. I meant to only do an hour because brain capacity, and I have to do the Unreal stuff later today. And again, brain capacity. It doesn't work out if I'm trying to do all this heavy, intensive brain stuff all in one go. I should really do like a C++ stream every day, but Jesus, I think I'd go insane. I think I'd go more insane. Sorry, there we go. Remember the size of v and stop when we get to the original last element. Declaration type v dot size I equals 0, sc equals v dot size I does not equal sc. Oh, okay. That's fine, I guess. But like we had the thing in the other loop where this integer is completely redundant, because we had decl type v dot size I equals 0, and then we had I does not equal v dot size. That was the thing, right? That was the whole premise of this code. Yeah, index does not equal s dot size. So you don't even need an integer to keep track of the size of the last thing. You just reference the size of the last thing. Because it could change actually, but it's not going to change dynamically within the loop unless the loop has something that changes the size of the string. And if it does have something, this was a problem actually that we had. This is a problem that we had last week, because we had what was it doing? It was it kept adding stuff because it couldn't escape. It just kept adding stuff to one of the vectors, didn't it? Well, the bad code's gone now, so I can't show you. Quote unquote bad code. It's probably still pretty bad. A for header can omit any or all initialized statement, condition, or expression. You can use a null statement for initialized statement when the initialization is unnecessary. For example, we might rewrite a loop that looked like the first negative number in a vector so that it uses a for. Auto beg equals v dot begin, for null beg does not equal v dot end, and beg and star beg is greater than or equal to 0, plus beg colon no work to do, because the initializer is outside the loop. You understand that, right? We already have a variable to work with inside the loop. Beg, the auto beg. which is kind of redundant, but at the same time not, because you're moving the scope of the variable. So if you have to use that variable in other loops, or if you have to use that variable in other parts of the code block that you initialize it in, it's available, rather than having to do some kind of return referencing from your loop. I don't know how you would actually do that, really. You'd have to you have to have a container for the knowledge to put the knowledge into it. Loops can return though, right? You can return a value, can't you? Can you not? You can't, can you? They don't do that, do they? I'm just trying to think about how you could do that. Like, you could return a value, but you would have to use the loop as code to initialize something with that value. They can't return an object, can they? The object would have to be initialized prior. And they can change the value of the object using the code block in the loop. It's been a long time since I've done return values. It's been a long time. The range for statement. For declaration expression statement, yeah. I hate these. I really do. Oh, we can also omit the expression from the for header in such loops as either the condition or the body must do something to advance the iteration. As an example, we'll rewrite the for loop, while loop, read the vector, blah, blah, blah. What the fuck? Vector int v for int I, c in I, no expression, v dot pushback I. How does that even work? We'll rewrite the while loop that read input into a vector of ints. Oh, right, okay, so condition changes the value of I. Condition tests the input stream so that the loop ends when we've read all the input or encounter an input error. And this is a problem for manual input stuff, which is why we had to use getLine. For God's sake, these volume buttons are just in the complete wrong position, aren't they? That's why we had to use getLine in this cin input, because if we just used cin, it was never accepting a full string. It was really weird. It got funky, and I don't remember it ever being that funky. Like, we've done a couple of exercises now where we've had string for auto cout. That's all cout. Where's my c and stuff? Never mind, I can't find it. It's up there somewhere where we have a while cin and that worked fine, and we have some just regular cin direct inputs and they worked fine. But for some reason, reading strings was a problem for it, so we had to use getLine and ints. I don't know. I can't remember. We could do a thing, I guess. We could just write this. This makes a nice change. We can check something out. Vector int v. Please respect my spacing, you dick. 4. V dot pushback. for auto G B press F5 to run the program. It's going to give us an error or some stuff, or it's not going to work correctly. Right, okay. Maybe I was doing something wrong. So yeah, when you have a while loop like that, if it's not reading from a file and you're typing it indirectly, you have to use the escape value, the escape value to exit the loop manually, which is a pain, but it's fine. On Windows, it's Control Z. Can't remember what it is on Linux, Unix. I think it might be Control Enter or Alt Enter or something. Small hiccup. Anyway, it didn't work with the where's my title? Statement. I swear I wrote a title on that. It's there. The hell? The hell is going on here? That was weird. That was really weird. Yeah, I don't want to start editing it. I just want to delete them. I'm getting so mad with you, Visual Studio. I'm gonna switch to Notepad++ in a second. Notepad++ doesn't have a built-in compiler, does it? Yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem for me, at least. I'm too lazy to deal with manual compilers. I mean, it's 2020, guys. It's 2020. Come on. Come on, you can't judge me for this. It's 2020. I want it automatic. I just want code to be written for me at this point. Okay, we're on to the exercises now. Exercise 5.4.2, exercise 5.15. What? Oh, chapter 5.4.2, exercise 5.15. Explain the following loops. Correct any problems you detect. Uh-oh. So there's going to be problems. I'm going to have to detect them, which is fantastic. It's not a problem at all. I can detect a problem in a loop a mile away. For int ix equals 0, ix does not equal sz plus plus ix. If ix does not equal sz, ... Okay. So, okay. I'm detecting some problems. So the if statement at the end, if ix does not equal sz, is potentially redundant because the loop will exit when ix does not equal sz. Okay. So the first problem is sz, if that is not incrementing inside the code block that the loop has along with ix, the code block will become useless pretty quickly. So that's something to maybe keep in mind. Sz will have to be initialized outside the loop. or at the beginning of this loop, there's no initialization. There is a link to the code block which it's referencing, which shows you the full code, but if I click that, it's going to take me to page 2000 something, and I will not be able to get back to where I am in the book. So I'm not going to click that. So yeah, consider revising the if ix does not equal sc, because that is the escape condition for the loop. That is when the loop will naturally proceed to the next bit of code. You can leave it in, it doesn't do any harm. It slows your program down by one operation. It's a little bit of extra error checking, and I guess if that is evaluating to false and you are exiting the loop, you can put an error code in there, but you might want to do it the other way around. So you check if it does equal sc, and then if it does and it's exited the loop, at that point you'll put an error code in that something else has gone wrong. The loop has exited prematurely and the program must be shut down. Otherwise, you can continue your regular code as per normal. Anyway, int ix for ix does not equal sc plus plus ix. Again, we have it's fine. It's not fine. ix has not been initialized. So you've initialized an empty int which you can't use in a loop because it's a null value. You have to give it a value, right? Or int's initialized to 0. Pretty sure you can't do that. Maybe you can do that. Maybe that's fine. Maybe I'm just panicking. Well, we can just run that. Excellent, Slam. So that's exactly what I thought. An integer, if you don't give it a value, it's uninitialized. Uninitialized integers can't be used. They can exist, but you got to give them a value before you use them, right? Anyway, so to fix that, you just stick an equals 0 on the end. It'll be fine. You can probably just comment that out. Seeing how it doesn't work. And it should just, yeah. So you can initialize an int without giving it a variable. I'm using the wrong word, right? Initializing something is giving it the variable because it's uninitialized. What's the word for giving the computer program the idea of the thing? It's like I honestly can't remember. Does it matter? Make it an int with no value. No good. Bad, bad. There you go. That's the level of... That's all you need to know. And we have int ix. We did that one already. Doesn't have an initialized int. So you can have either outside the loop, you could have int ix equals 0, or you can have int ix for ix equals 0 semicolon ix does not equal sc plus plus ix, and then you've got the problem again about sc being incremented alongside ix in the code block of the loop. Otherwise, ix will only equal sc for a brief moment of existence if it does equal sc at all. In fact, another way you could sidestep that, you could force it to work at least one time by writing outside the code block or outside the loop or inside the loop in IX and just initializing it to the value of SC. That would ensure that it was at least correct once. Kind of like a do while. And then we got for int ix equals 0, ix does not equal sz, plus plus ix plus plus sz, assuming sc has been initialized somewhere else in the program. This is going to work a little bit better because you have an explicit can you do that? Is that legal? Can you have two incrementers in the declaration? I don't think you can have two incrementers in the declaration. That's a danger play there. Is that okay? Is that okay? And then we have code block, cout, I space string literal J underline. Did you change color of the underline? It's really hard to tell the difference between the light gray regular text and the piss yellow endl. I'm sure you worked fine. There were build errors. You didn't work fine. Error list. Uninitialized local variable J used. Int J. Correct. I'm an idiot. I just did the thing that I said you can't do. Oh, it's because I'm not using J. I'm using SZ. I'm a friggin' idiot. I have no train of thought. I have only automatic. I only have autopilot. There were build areas. There were build areas. Syntax error. Syntax error 568. Help! There we go. 33, 44, 55, 66, 77. Control Z. Boom. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly acceptable. It compiled and it ran. There you go. Of course, it means that if you are checking, this is the second problem. I'm really sorry. So if you're doing that loop in ix equals 0, ix does not equal sc plus plus ix plus plus sz, unless you have code in the code block again that changes conditionally the value of ix or sz, this is an infinite loop and you will have a bad day at work. So you want to try and avoid infinite loops as much as possible because they're bugs. The only loop that should be infinite to a degree is main, because that's your program. And if that's not infinite, your program's gonna terminate. So it's just gonna fucking self-destruct. Anyway, the while loop is particularly good at executing while some condition holds. For example, we need to values until end of file. For loop is generally thought of as a step loop. An index steps through a range of values in a collection. Cool. Write an idiomatic use of each loop and then rewrite each using the other loop construct. If you could use only one loop, which would you choose and why? Okay. I don't really want to. So it's fine. It's fine, right? If you wanted to use a while loop like a for loop, you could define the incrementer, the index outside the loop, and then you have while, you have your condition as if you were writing a for loop, because that will be a true or false anyway. It's a boolean return value, which is fine. And then you have your expression which increments your incrementer, and then you have your code block. It's fine, that's perfectly fine, that works fine. If you wanted to use a for loop like a while loop, you can just leave out the incrementer and you can just have a condition. As it said previously, you can have a null code block for your initialization. If you don't need to initialize anything, you can just have it check the condition and then work like a for loop. A while loop. There you go, boom. If I could only use one kind of loop, which would I use? For loop, because they're cool. Yeah. Given two vectors of ints, write a program to determine whether one vector is a prefix of the other. For vectors of unequal length, compare the number of elements of the smaller vector. For example, given the vectors containing 0, 1, 1 and 2 and 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, respectively, your program should return true. Okay. That's fine. It's fine. That's fine. We can do that. I'm gonna comment all of that out. I'm not gonna make the same mistake I did. I'll put that in a new line so it doesn't mess up. Whoopsie. Vector int vint1 vint2. I'ma slap you. This is how you do this, right? I honestly can't remember. Not just gonna add nice spaces for me, heathen. Okay, so we got that one, which is the same. We got that one, which has got more. We've got one which is completely different, I guess. 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 4. Sure, why not? And we'll have one which is shorter, but still a prefix. This is legal code because it just does all those in a line, and the last one in is correct. Correct? Anyway, we'll comment those out for now. They're just for testing purposes. And we're doing stationary vectors. Yeah. Here we go. I don't need those. What am I doing? I don't need another vector. If one character away from being just complete garbage text instead of actual code is equal to or greater than vint2 dot size. What's this? Expected an expression. Is that better? Sorry. It's an arrow the other way around, isn't it? If that, then code block, else if vint2 dot size is greater than vint1 dot size, and yes, I wrote it out fully both ways. What's going on here? What's going on here? What the fuck is going on here? Oh, you're outside the goddamn map. Whoa, whoa! What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Ugh. So So let me just this is obviously going to be where we end the exercise you end on. So I'm gonna I'm gonna turn the book off. Never thought I'd say that. Jesus. All my years, I never thought I'd tell you I'm turning a book off. So this is just to ascertain that we have valid vectors, and we're going to find out which way we need to compare them. Because we have a long and a short vector, we have equal-sized vectors. If we have equal-sized vectors, it doesn't matter which way we compare them. But if we have a longer or a shorter vector, we need the shorter vector to be compared against the longer vector. We need to iterate across the shorter vector number of places, which means we need to know which one is shorter and how many places it has, which is fine. We can do dot size bracket and we get the length of the vector. It's perfectly fine. But within those code blocks, what the hell am I going to do? What kind of bloody code am I going to need? We're going to have a bool. What do you mean I can't have a bool? Fuck you. I'm defining. I'm defining, you fucker. What a prefix? It's prefix. That's fine, right? We can have a. Why am I putting it there? I don't know. Let me just not put that inside the vectors. I'll put it there. It's fine. So for no. Vectors are zero indexed, right? Whoops. So this is a bad way to do this. This is a stupid. This is how brains come to die. Ah. So what do you mean I've got an error? Oh right, yeah, because I need a code block in there. Hello. If I use a switch, can I use an AND? Hello. Well, switch. I don't think I can now. Switches are for integral type, right? Fuck. This is not where a switch is helpful. What I want to do is This is why people don't let me write programs for them. Oh wow, I even spelled prefix wrong. Yes. Oh, cool. Cool. Maybe I'll join you for an hour or so. Ha! People who know. Don't you even worry about it. Does that work? Is that going to break to here? Where is this going to break to? It's a boolean already, so that should be fine, right? Oh. Yeah, that should be a... That should work, right? I should be able to run this, and it should just do that. That's what I'm expecting it to give me. Oh, great. It does. Doesn't really matter which way you do these, because it goes both ways, but I like to do it the other way, because it's a little bit more readable. That one does matter. So it's horrible. It's horrible to look at, really, isn't it? Like, okay, that's good. We got our control up and running. So this one should say Vint1 prefix is Vint2. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. I think we actually wrote a program that actually works. This should say you did a poopy. Oh. Oh, we'll just put an else here. Duh. I didn't copy the quotes, did I? Jesus Christ. There we go. Now it should work fine. The vint1 don't prefix is vint2. Fucking love it, mate. Vint2 prefix is vint1. We didn't have a control where vint2 doesn't prefix but is shorter. So let's just delete some of those. I think it should be fine like that. And then there you go. Works fine. It's very simple. It's a lot of words. It works, and that's where I'm gonna leave it today. Do you want me to really walk you through this code? Okay, so I've got to do it so I don't forget. So we've got a default initialization of some vector ints, vectors of ints rather, and we have given them values directly in the program just to make it a little bit faster, so we don't have any cins or anything like that that could mess up the input. So we all know that that's good, and anything that we input into vint1 and vint2 is going to be processed correctly. And we initialize a boolean is prefix, which is going to change to 1 if our program assesses that vint1 prefixes vint2 or vint2 prefixes vint1, and that is that the first one of the vector's entirety, the smaller vector's entirety, has the same values in each of the vector positions as the other vector's similar positions if it's longer. You know what I mean, right? So this yeah. It's easier to see with the second example, I guess. So we have vint1 has 1 1 2 3 4, and vint2 has 1 1 2 3 4 5 5 6. So you can see the vint1 is the prefix of vint2, and vint2's final form has an extra 5 5 6 in the end. Okay, so that's what we mean when we say does a vector in this instance, it's not a rule, but when we say in this instance that a vector is going to be prefix another vector, is that they have the same values in the same positions as the other vector. So first of all, we're going to do a check to see which vector is largest. So we're going to get vint1.size, and if that is greater than or equal to vint2.size, we are going to take the size of vint2, and we're going to work with that because that's going to be the smaller or the same sized, and because it can be smaller or same size, because we're gonna group those two together because we can, they're going to be grouped together. And then if that is not true, if vint2 is larger than vint1, we will consider vint1 to be the counter. So we will assess how big vint1 is, and we will use that as our incrementing value, or our maximum incrementing value. And if the vectors do not have a size, if the vector sizes cannot be compared, or the vector sizes are neither greater than or less than or equal to each other it will write you an error message to the console that says you did a poopy. We didn't get that, so all of our vectors are initialized correctly, but I'm sure if we did something like this, it would give it up. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, so an uninitialized vector of ints with no values in it has one value of nothing, or 0 values of nothing. Whatever. Anyway, so that doesn't work. And you can't have a negative value vectors. It's just an error checking thing, and I guess it doesn't catch anything because I'm a brain. Anyway, after that, so we'll consider the first loop, because both loops work in exactly the same way. They just consider the vectors in one before the other, or the other before the one. If you get what I'm saying. So we'll consider the first if statement here. So if if vector vint1 is bigger or the same size as vector int2, we will for in I, the incrementer equals 0, I is less than the size of vint2. So if we're using it as an incrementer, vectors are 0 indexed, so if a vector with 10 values runs 0 to 9, so if I is equal to 9, we are at the 10th position. If the vector has a size of 10, has the indices 0 through 9, therefore it has to be less than. Remember that, it's important. If you put equal to, you'll go one past the end, you'll get a fucky error. Shit will happen. I++ to increment the incrementer, right? So consider, so in the for loop, if this is true, if I is less than vint2.size, which it should be if it's 0, unless vint2.size is 0, which we saw when we deleted this, it will go into this loop here. It will go into the if statement, and it will see if the value at vint2i does not equal vint1i. So if a value in vint2 does not equal the value of the same position in vint1, it will break. It will just, sorry, that was very loud. It will just stop, and it will not get to any of this. It will stop the for loop here, right? I think it will stop the for loop there. Oh, we can was it F10 to debug? Control F10? I don't want to press it. Anyway, I'm really sorry about the VOD. It took a full week of processing, and then it said to me, actually, we can't process this video. Sorry. And I don't know why. It's the same format as every other video I've uploaded to YouTube. So sorry about that. Last week's VOD is currently in limbo. I have the video file, I have the audio file, and everything is uncorrupted. The files are fine. It's just that YouTube didn't take them the first time. I've re-uploaded them today, and they should be processing. Should process fine. I hope I don't have to contact YouTube about this, but that'd be great. Where were I? Where were I? Anyway, if the value at vint2 and vint1i are the same, this is skipped, obviously, and then we get to the else if statement of vint2i is equal to vint1i, and I plus 1 is equal to vint2.size. So because we're using a 0 indexed thing, and because we're using I is less than vint2.size, I will never be vint2.size. So if we need to check if we are at the last position, that will be when I plus 1 is equal to vint2.size, or I is equal to vint2.size minus 1, because of the 0 indexing lag. I wish there was an easier, neater, tidier way of doing this, and I'm sure there is. But this is what we have. So when we're at the last position and the values are the same, because remember, if the values aren't the same, it's going to break anyway. But I guess we don't really even need that. But it's to back up, just in case. And I know programming, you shouldn't be doing just in case stuff. But you know what? Programs get real fucky real fast, and if you don't leave enough just in cases in, they tend to not work. So that's a just in case thing. We have to make sure that they're equal, just in case. You know what? Make sure we're in the last index of the vector, of the smaller vector, And if they're the same, we change the boolean is prefix to 1, which is true, and then we break, which takes us out of the loop, and it brings us to if is prefix. Because prefix is a boolean, you don't need a thing. You don't need a condition. You don't need any function there. It's just going to assess the boolean value of is prefix. If it is 1, it will do yes. If it is no, it will move on to the else section. So if is prefix has been set to 1 because we've gone through and nothing was not the same value and we've hit the final value in the smaller vector, we get a console message that says vint2 prefix is vint1. So the smaller vector of ints has the same values in all of its positions in the same positions as the larger vector. Or if they're the same size, we have dictated that vector2 will prefix vector1. And then it breaks. I don't know why it breaks, but it does break. I don't think we need that break. I think that's fine to not have in there, but oh no, it does. It doesn't break. I'm looking at the wrong line of code. Don't worry. Anyway, if is prefix has not been set to 1, if it broke here instead of here, then it will give you the console out message vint2 don't prefixes vint1 sad face. And the code is identical in the other half of the else if statement. It is simply comparing the vectors the other way around. Because if you compare values in a shorter vector against a total number of values in a bigger vector, you'll go outside of the shorter vector's scope and you'll have an error, which is why you need to take that precaution. Anyway, that is the walkthrough. It took 10 minutes to walk through that program. I hope you appreciate that. I'm sure I'll get a whole slew of angry comments on YouTube telling me I did something wrong, but from my eyes, in this perspective, from what testing I've done here, it works fine, it works as intended, and because no one can catch me on it live, haha, that's where I'm going to leave it. So, thank you for coming to watch the live video, if you came to watch the live video. Thanks for watching the video on demand, if you came to watch the video on demand. Fingers crossed later I will be online with Unreal, and that is the actual Unreal Engine this time. Putting the music in the game, maybe cobbling together a couple of sound effects, who knows, and we will have our week 20 build, which I'll upload to the itch.io as soon as I possibly can. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.